adjusted a child that is 12 hours old, and I have adjusted someone who's 101. I mean, so it's
Wow.
all ages, so everyone can benefit from chiropractic care.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Healing Hands Chiropractic Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Dawkins, and I'm here, as always, with an amazing human, Dr. Tracy Rush. And Dr. Tracy, I just want to say a few things out the gate. First of all, I always watch analytics because I love looking at the numbers. We have such amazing listeners on this podcast already. Here we are going into episode 3, but in the last 24 hours, Dr. Tracy, like last night to this morning, that's 12 hours. In the last 12 hours, we've had over 2,400 views on your content. And so when I think about, are we creating something that people want to listen to? Yes, we are. But here's what's more fascinating about that, Dr. Tracy. I'm going to tell you something you already know because I had to look it up. The population of the city that you practice in is about 5,400. Is that accurate?
Around there, yep.
More or less. That was the latest. That was the 2020 numbers, right? Maybe it's grown since then. A beautiful little town. But what that means is in the last 12 hours, statistically, you just reached half your city overnight. In addition to that, we've more than 3x'd the population of your city in terms of viewership and listeners. And so in honor of our amazing listeners and the fact that it is National Garlic Day, Dr. Tracy, the people want to know what you had for dinner last night. Let's start the podcast that way.
So I have to say, yesterday was my birthday.
Oh my goodness,
Yes.
Dr. Tracy. Happy birthday. Wow. Happy birthday. So it better have been good. I hope it was a good dinner.
It was. We went to a Thai place. We don't get fresh. We get some fresh Thai where we live, but we're in Jacksonville right now. So I had a fish stir fry, garlic stir fry, not garlic, ginger and garlic stir fry with scallops and shrimp, stir fried rice. And my dessert was coconut ice cream.
Come on. I'm glad you had some dessert too. I mean, did you have a cake on
Yes. Repeat that.
I really, I Thai. Okay, that caught me off guard. I didn't see that coming, but I'm glad to hear you. You're on vacation a little bit. You're still making time for the podcast. The people appreciate that. That's so. But in honor of the fact that you're on vacation, it's your birthday. We're gonna get right in. We're gonna get personal. We're gonna get professional, and we're gonna finish this with some fun. And so, jumping right into question number 1, Dr. Tracy. The people want to know, with the kids that you have that grew up in the city that you practice in, what were some of your favorite memories or activities in the area?
So Berlin is this little town with other towns around it. Ocean City is 7 miles from us. So the beach. We loved going to the beach. And we have a peninsula called Assateague Island. Assateague is known for their ponies. So there's wild ponies. It's a state park and a federal park, and driving through there and wildlife. And we loved going to Assateague. We would go clamming. We would go fishing. We'd go kayaking, get into the beach. That was our place to go. We were always out.
I love that. Amen. Getting outside, and I think that's a huge part of getting and staying healthy is spending time outside and with family. So that's awesome. All right, I've got a question here. What would you say to someone asking, how would this city look different if Healing Hands Chiropractic were never there?
When I read this, I got so sad. It hurt my heart to think if we had never opened up our practice, if we had never thought about staying there, number one, there are babies that would not have been born. We know that. We know.
Wow.
We've been instrumental in births, turning babies, getting ladies pregnant. Many people would have had surgery. So many of our patients we would have just been in a terrible state if we had never opened up. I mean, we definitely, over the 22 years, have changed lives in our region.
Yeah, I think it's easy for you as well to look at how rewarding it's been for you. And we also know it's a great sort of filter for how you do things to think about that, right? How have other people's lives been impacted? And obviously, every single video we post, we've got patients of yours that are commenting about how it's changed their life. And speaking of, I want to say I have the comment of the week here based on like I said, many people that are posting and commenting and saying such nice things. I've got Anna White 9670 on YouTube that said, "I love Dr. Tracy and her husband. I would recommend anyone with skeletal or pain issues to visit Healing Hands. You'll feel so much better in the short period of time. Best wishes always to you and your staff, and don't stop doing what you guys do." So that's incredible. I love that it's no question in my mind the impact that Healing Hands Chiropractic and the Rush Docs are having on the community. So, yeah, thank you for sharing that. The people want to know where they, more and more about the city. I think in our first episode, you talked about how much of really a destination spot it can be for folks that are looking for charm and looking for fun. So the next question is, what is your favorite hidden gem or go-to spot in Berlin that you'd recommend to visitors looking for an authentic local experience?
That is downtown Berlin. It's just one main street. It's the town square, and it's quaint. It's got antique stores. It's got an old shop for burgers and milkshakes, and this town was featured on Tuck Everlasting and Runaway Bride. So it's been known for different movies, but it's just a quaint hometown.
Love it. So you've been there for, you said 22 years. That's incredible. I wonder if you could go back 22 years and give one piece of advice to your younger self. What would you tell Dr. Tracy Rush 22 years ago?
So thinking about this, I had in high school, I mean, my brain goes back to high school, and I always wanted to fit in, and I didn't fit in. I was always different. I I played in the band. I did a whole bunch of sports, and I just never had my click. And so I would tell myself, it's okay to be unique. It's okay to be different. You don't have to fit in. You can stand out. And in high school, you don't want to really stand out because everyone chastises you there. But it's okay because you can become you. You don't have to be anybody else.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of the 18-45-60 rule. I don't remember who told me about it, but they said when you're 18 years old, you only care about what other people think. When you turn 45, you stop caring what other people think, and when you turn 60, you realize that no one ever really cared to begin with. So the 18-45-60 rule would take a lot of weight off of us and unhealthy pressure off of us if we all just said, I'm not going to wait till I'm 45 or I'm 60 to go ahead and just be me, be myself. It's okay to be different. I like that.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, to be decades into practice, Dr. Tracy, one thing I know about you is you're always learning, and you haven't really slowed down. You're always looking to grow, and I'm wondering what that looks like for you when I think about continuing education for a doc. This goes back to a conversation we just had before we hopped on about that white belt mentality that I'm not going to be the one that knows everything. I'm always going to be curious and learning. What does that look like for you nearly a quarter century into practice?
So we have been activator doctors, which is a handheld instrument that's been around 56, 57 years now. And I wanted to do something different. Squeezing the activator all these years, wrist issues, hand issues, finger issues. I'm like, I got to do something. So I found a new instrument. It's called an arthrostim, and it is an electronic instrument. So I had been exposed, but not really ever used it. And I had spoken to other doctors, and they said you should try this instrument. So I have loved it. So I'm doing videos, I'm watching videos, I'm learning how to use it and the versatility of it and all I can do with it. So at 20, almost 25 years in practice, I'm learning a whole new, not going to say technique, but a way of adjusting. And always learning, like you said, always learning. My brain doesn't stop, but I'm always learning about new things to help our population, our people.
That's awesome. Yeah, you when it comes to technology too, you think about you can be scared of technology, and plenty of people are scared of technology, but you can also find ways to embrace technology to do what you do better, to serve people at a higher level. So thank you for always being learning. Your patients thank you as well. So that's the perfect segue into getting into the chiropractic conversation. Today we've got 5 new questions and these are 5 from the top 25 questions that people are asking specifically on Google, Dr. Tracy. So we decided to really poll the audience and answer questions that people are really asking. Starting with, I think if you're on social media or if you're watching this podcast, you've probably seen a few videos on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube of a chiropractor doing something that looked a little bit off or sketchy. And sometimes, you can wonder, does that hurt? Is that good for you? Is that bad for you? So I'm wondering, question number 1 that was asked, what are the potential risks or side effects associated with chiropractic adjustments, and how common are they?
When I saw this question, I get, is he really asking that? Wow, well, you're not asking it. It's the population asking that. So I did not realize that. So, as far as risk versus benefits, the benefits of chiropractic outweigh the risks, outweigh the risk. I mean, you think about just getting in your car every day, the risk of driving, there's accidents every day that happen, but you got to get to your destination. But with chiropractic technique, there's so many different techniques out there, and I know that's a question in a little bit, but the you've got to find a chiropractor who is obviously knowledgeable. You don't know that. You've got to do your homework. You've got to ask questions. And as far as potential risk, anything, there's a potential risk. But as far as the side effects are good health. That's when I looked at. The side effects are good health and increased quality of life with chiropractic.
And I think that you almost have to be careful answering that question on its face, because the question assumes that there's a lot of risk with chiropractic. It's one of the least invasive, practices to get you healthy, to get you out of pain, to get you experiencing optimal health. And, the question assumes that, oh man, based on what I've seen, having not known anything, there must be so many risks. So how common is it that someone would get hurt with chiropractic? It's like, you know, that's a question coming from someone that really needs to be educated and really needs to be, to be edutained, as we're doing here, on the principle of chiropractic, to understand how safe it is, how consistently reliable and powerful it is, and how incredible it is. So, we just wanted to. It's a question that someone asked, so we want to give some attention to. And I think with folks today, we are seeing a younger demographic embracing chiropractic, which I love. So not to put words in your mouth, but the next question is, are there specific age groups or demographics that benefit most from chiropractic care? And are there any groups for whom it may not be recommended?
When I thought about this, it is all ages. I mean, I adjusted a child that is 12 hours old, and I have adjusted someone who's 101. I mean, so it's
Wow.
all ages. So everyone can benefit from chiropractic care. Is there any demographic not? No. I mean, but as we get older, our joints get stiffer, more arthritis sets in, depending on mobility, depending on when an injury happened. So with that, you've got to be careful. So you talked about side effects or potential risk. That's what I love about Activator. I wouldn't take a 90-year-old's neck and twist it. There's just no way because there's not going to be mobility there. So using the activator, using the instrument overcomes all of that. That's why people are drawn to us because of our technique, because we're not twisting and turning. So it is all ages.
I love that. All right. Yeah, I think about my mom who may watch this podcast. I don't know. Hey, Mom. But she's had spinal fusion, and I think about the folks, and especially as you get older, the number of things that you may have done that were not invasive. They were invasive, right? They were intense. They took their toll, and they're still taking their toll. Those are things that you, Dr. Tracy, have to consider in their health history to determine the right technique among the millions of techniques that you have that you could deploy. And I can also attest to my 3-year-old who struggles with sensory processing disorder, who's being adjusted multiple times a week right now, and how pivotal it's been in his development and his growth. And we literally, it's like watching a weed grow. You can see it happening in front of your eyes as he's going in for regular adjustments, the difference in his countenance and his emotion and his attention span and his motor skills. And so thankful and thank God for chiropractic. Can chiropractic care help people with posture correction and alignment issues? And if so, what techniques are typically used?
I guess this was a Google question. So posture, well, great to educate before the posture gets bad. So I'm going to visualize phone, not here, here, not here, here. And kids nowadays posture issues are happening earlier and earlier because of that. So there comes a point where we can make small changes. It may not be a perfect change because the musculature, the bones are in that position. I have a gentleman right now, tall gentleman, really forward head posture, but through the new technique, like his head is coming up, and he told me I couldn't, when he laid down doing a towel in his neck, his head never touched, and now we can get his head touching, his shoulders are touching. So we're physically changing his posture. And I mean, he's in his 60s, he's in his 70s, and so we're changing it, which I'm like, oh, that's God, that's God. It's so exciting. There are definitely specific techniques that deal with scoliosis, and we've had thousands of patients we've helped with scoliosis through our technique. But I think of something called chiropractic biophysics. There's no one in our area that does this, but it's using blocks and weights and to change those postures as well. So there are specific techniques that deal with those things, but most chiropractors can help that.
Awesome. That's a really good answer. I think that might be a new trending short right there. I think people really do want to know about that. We are going into a loaded question here, but again, thanks Google for supplying all these amazing questions. What role does nutrition play in chiropractic care, and are there dietary recommendations or supplements that can support spinal health and overall well-being?
Yes, yes, and yes. So, does overall nutrition? Oh my gosh, yes. I think about your car. If you were putting old oil in your car, is it gonna run right? No. So the fuel we put into our bodies, if we don't have the right fuel, it's not gonna run correctly. Now, been doing this for 25 years, and what I have found over these years, it does take longer for people to heal nowadays than it did 25 years ago. it was shorter. We didn't have the chemicals in our food. We didn't have the stress in our environment that we do today. So our nutrition is key. A good quality multivitamin, not one over the counter. There's just not many over the counter that are going to be of that quality. So you need one that's recommended by doctors, not necessarily medical doctors, but just people that are knowledgeable about nutrition, that have that background. Supplements that support hyaluronic acid, glucosamine and hyaluronic acid together, because that's going to lubricate. Anti-inflammatory supplements, so we're talking turmeric and frankincense, those things to help lubricate the joints and get that inflammation down. But to me, it's more, why do you have that inflammation? It's not, okay, because you could take an ibuprofen. We don't suggest that, but that'll get rid of your inflammation. But why do you have that inflammation? So we look at all of that. Why do you have it?
Well, I think that I want to ask a question based on that answer. And this is a question that I have. My family, we've made a lot of changes with our eating in the last 6 months that we're very proud of. But we've gotten, mixed signals as far as when I'm at the grocery store and I'm shopping for groceries. One of the things that we do is we're looking for the organic and the non-GMO as many times as we can find it. It costs more money. And there are a lot of people that say it's not real. It's just a business that's willing to spend more money to get the label. It may not necessarily reflect on the health of the food. I don't know now, hearing that, because it was from a reliable source, I would have thought. What are your thoughts on organic and non-GMO, the labels, and then shopping based on what's out there that has that label on it?
It is still a regulated entity. I mean, having that label, it's still regulated. So they do have to. There are benchmarks they have to go through to be organic. It's summertime, springtime, summertime. Getting to a farmer's market. You want to get to a farmer's market. So it's in the ground where you live, and you can talk to the farmer and get those foods. Is there a difference? Yes, there's a difference between non-organic and organic. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that idea. We have a farmer's market here every Saturday morning, and we can go and get loaded up on all the goodies. So, and the kids love it too. So, all right, one more question before we get to the hot seat, Dr. Tracy. What are the differences between traditional chiropractic adjustments and newer techniques like instrument-assisted adjustments or spinal decompression therapy?
So I can't talk on spinal decompression because that's not a specialty of mine. I have not delved into that or really looked into that. But traditional chiropractic, when people think of chiropractors, they think, oh, I don't want my neck cracked. They're twisting and turning and placing and pushing. And there's nothing wrong with those techniques. Again, I would not do that on a 90-year-old lady because there's going to be issues, degeneration in there. However, the newer techniques, and like I said, Activator's been around 56, 57 years, it's much more gentle for the spine. You don't have to be afraid that there's going to be a bad side effect when you read about side effects. It's very specific. And I'm not saying those other techniques aren't specific, but if I know this bone isn't moving, I can use the instrument on that bone to move it. So that's what the difference is. It's got more specificity, more gentler for the body, less invasive.
Right on. We're going to talk more about that in the next episode. When you say specificity, we're going to talk about that more on the next episode, and I can't wait, because I think people are curious, how do you tailor what you do to the individual? And so excited to talk about that. But thank you for educating us. Thanks for bringing the principle of chiropractic and 25 years of experience to the conversation. But it's time for the hot seat. So we're going to go through these quick. And listen, as those are listening right now, these are questions we want you to answer too. So take liberty and comment below. As we ask Dr. Tracy the hot seat questions, we want to know your answer as well. So question number 1 is, if you could trade lives with any fictional character for the day, who would it be and why?
So I am a Disney fiend, and I love musicals. And so my favorite musical Disney movie is Enchanted, and
Yes.
Giselle is the character, and the reason why is she's everything's so happy in her life, and she's joyful, and things come to her, and she doesn't have negativity, and I love that. I mean, it turns around when she gets angry, and you need the dichotomy. You need sad to be happy. You need anger to be happy. Like, you have to have both. But she's just happy.
I love it. Yeah. And you seem like a happy person too, Dr. Tracy. All right. If you had the power to instantly master any skill or talent, what would you choose and why?
I'm very much into music, and I play flute. I would love to learn how to play the piano, and I have tried over the years. I know I'm going to get comments like, I can teach you to play piano. I have had lessons. My brain can't get the left hand and the right hand working together. I can play flute, I can read music, I can read treble clef, but when it comes to bass clef, absolutely not. No, can't figure out this hand. Just can't do it. So it would be piano.
All right. All right. If you could have any animal as a pet, regardless of practicality or legality, what would you choose?
I said a dolphin. I've always loved dolphins from little. I've always loved dolphins, and they're graceful and beautiful and intelligent, and they're loyal. And I got to tell you a story. I know these are supposed to be quick. So, went on a mission trip to Galapagos Island a couple of years ago, and it was a whole group of us, and we had a day off, and so we were exploring the island. We went out into the water, did snorkeling there, and then we got to this area, and they were going up to jump off the cliff, like climb up and jump off the cliff into the whatever water. And I'm like, I'm not jumping off a cliff. I'm a car. No, that's not happening. So a lady and I, we stayed behind on the docks because we thought they were going to actually travel back down the mountain to pick us up to go back to where we were. Well, they didn't come back and pick us up. They left us in the Galapagos Island. It had to have been 3 to 4 hours. We sat on this dock, and no one came to pick us up. Now, I know that's scary because we're in a foreign country. We don't know Spanish, and we didn't know how to get back. We eventually got back, but as we were sitting on the dock, this dolphin came and was right there next to us. And I felt like that dolphin was like a guardian angel, just watching over us, saying it was going to be okay. And that's my comfort animal, is a dolphin.
All right. Well, here's to one day having a dolphin as a pet. That's great. All right. Best hour of your day. When is it and what are you doing?
It's after I've gotten ready and I have my quiet time. That quiet hour, 7 to 8. Like I sit there, I meditate. I'm in my sunroom, that's the next question. My favorite room, sorry, but is my sunroom. And I just listen and hear the birds chirping. It's that morning time.
That's awesome. Well, now you have to answer a different question for the final. This will be a true hot seat question. All right. You're stranded on a desert island or deserted island. Let's say it right. And you can only bring 3 things with you. What are the 3 things you're bringing with you on this deserted island?
We talked about this. So I have running water, my Bible. I want my Bible. I want frankincense.
Wait. We've already done this question.
We
We have to do a
have.
different question. All right. All right, a different question is if you had to live your life for the rest of your life in one pair of shoes, what shoes are you going to live the rest of your life in?
Comfortable sneakers. Comfortable sneakers.
Only comfy. You can wear those anywhere, right? Weddings, right? Dates.
I do that now. So, I mean, I used to be, get dressed up and wear the fancy, not fancy shoes. I don't wear high heels. But my feet, I'm on my feet all day. They hurt at the end of the day. I'm like, why? So, practicality, I now wear sneakers to work. And now I know people are going to look at my feet, but I've got to be comfortable.
Listen, you got it. That's right. That's right. You want to, like, the work that you're doing with your hands, it means it's necessary for your feet to be healthy and comfortable. So God bless you and what you do. Thank you again for keeping this conversation going. We really do want to make a difference to this podcast. So to all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Comment below if you're getting something out of this. What was the big takeaway for you? Put it in the comments below, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Yes, thank you, and God bless.